How you doing? Again, my name is Anton Carter, back here for another video for class What's Management 308. In this assignment, we're just going to talk about we're going to look into the past and select a controversial athlete. This athlete that we have to select must come from an era when there was no cable, television, cell phone, social media, or the internet. Period. So that's going way back in the past. I know, for me, for my entire life, for the most part, I always had a phone, internet access, and that's something that I'm used to. So then we got to go back and put old athletes almost in today's world, in today's society, and see how what they had going on back then, how would they been affected with today's society, with the internet and social media and how everything else is with having that online platform which people have nowadays. So the athlete that I decided to do my research on and look up is Rubin Hurricane Carter. Hurricane was a nickname for him, but he was, to give you a little bit of background information about Rubin Carter, then I'm gonna just go in and add his life and his conflict that he had back then in today's world, in today's society with social media. Okay. So everyone who doesn't know, if you do know, then that's great. But if you don't know, Rubin Carter was twice wrongly convicted of a triple murder and in prison for nearly 2 decades. His convictions was overturned in 1985, and he dedicated the rest of his life for advocating for wrong convicted people. That's basically what happened. So basically, he just got convicted of killing people in a triple homicide. That's something that I'm gonna talk to you more about it as the video goes on, but I'm gonna just continue to give you more background information as far as who Rubin Carter is. Rubin Carter was born on May 6, 1937 in Clifton, New Jersey. In 1996, at his height of his boxing career, Carter was twice wrongly convicted of a triple homicide murder and in prison for nearly 2 decades. During the mid-1970s, his case became during the 1910s, his case became like the highlight for a number of civil rights leaders, politicians, and entertainers. He was ultimately released from prison in 1985 when a federal judge overturned his conviction. There's actually a movie out that I actually saw some time back. It was really just called Hurricane. It was a film made in 1999. Denzel Washington actually stars. If you guys have a chance, go check out that movie. It's a very good movie. Rubin Carter is someone that I did history or did like an autobiography on him some time ago. Maybe back when I was in high school, that we had to do a Black History person during Black History Month, and someone that's not famous. Let me say not famous. They all famous, but someone that you're not used to hearing, like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, those guys. Someone that no one really knows about. So I picked Rubin Carter. He was a boxer. Boxing is a sport that I grew up around. I really like boxing. Then the time that I picked him, I was like, hey, this guy got the same last name as me, so perfect pick. But again, I'm gonna go into a little bit more about Rubin Carter's early life. Like again, I said he was born on May 6, 1937 in Clifton, New Jersey. He grew up in Paterson, New Jersey, was arrested and sent to Jamesburg State Home for Boys at the age of 12 after he attacked a man with a Boy Scout knife. He claimed the man was a pedophile who'd been attempting to molest one of his friends. That's how Rubin Carter life kind of started going down this criminal timeline for him. One of his friends was getting molested, and him as well. One of his friends, like I said, go check out the movie. It's a great movie. One of his friends was getting molested, and like right before the guy come arrest him, a Caucasian guy at that. At the age of 12, he stabbed him with a knife, just to help him and his friend escape. But with that being said, was he still got in trouble for that, and he had a 6-year term in the boy home. And in 1994, he joined the Army, where he served in the Sergeant Corps and began training for boxing. He won 2 European light welterweight championships, and in 1956 returned to Patterson with the intention of becoming a professional boxer. Almost upon immediate his return, police arrested Carter and forced him to serve the remaining 10 months of his sentence in state reformatory. In 1957, Carter was arrested, this time for purse snatching. He spent 4 years in Toronto State, a maximum security prison. For that crime, after his release, he channeled his anger towards the situation, and that's when he turned pro into boxing in 1961. So, as you see, Rubin Carter at this time been arrested 3 times already. When he was a kid, growing up, before he went to the military, and also for purse snatching as well. So, like I said, Rubin Carter was a guy that had been in and out of jail. Just a lot of problems, a lot of controversy, and everything like that. He got the nickname Hurricane because I know I called him that at the beginning of the video because he had really fast hands. And at the time, he was one of the top contenders in the world middleweight. A top contender in the world middleweight class. So with that being said, Rubin Carter was like big stuff for his time. But then this when like one of his biggest problems came about when he was arrested for a triple homicide, and I'm gonna tell you guys about the triple homicide. In October 1966, Rubin Carter was arrested for the June 17 triple murder of 3 people at Lafayette Bar and Grill in Patterson, New Jersey. Carter and John Artis has been arrested on the night of the crime because they fit an eyewitness description of the killers, 2 Negroes in a white car. That was the description. So they just got arrested just for being 2 Negroes in a white car. And imagine like the time frames that I'm saying. Like I said, October 1966. That's when you're talking about like the Jim Crow area. You know, that's when slavery was at its peak. When I begin to relate his with him and put him in these times and talk about social media and everything in his time, like the time where we're talking plays a big factor into that. But that's something that I'm gonna go into a little bit later. But again, he got arrested just because he fit the description of being 2 Negroes in a white car. They have been cleared by a grand jury. The one surviving victim failed to identify them as the gunman. Now, the state had proceeded 2 eyewitnesses who made positive identifications. During the trial that followed, prosecution proceeded little to no evidence linking Carter and Artis to the crime. A shaky motive. And the only 2 eyewitnesses were petty criminals involved in a burglary. Nonetheless, on June 29th, 1967, Carter and Artis was convicted of a triple murder and sentenced to 3 life prison terms. Again, killed 3 people, so they got 3 life prison terms. And again, it was no linking them to their they had 2 other eyewitnesses. I guess the first eyewitnesses couldn't really identify them as the gunman, but they found 2 other eyewitnesses that said that these 2, Rubin Carter and his friend Artis, was the guys that killed these three individuals back in the time. So with that being said, they got sentenced to 3 life prison terms. That's a long time. I mean, that's basically dying 3 times and just saying, hey, no, you're still in jail. So that's a very long time. You're not getting out. You're not getting out at all when you're talking about 3 prison terms. All right. So in the late 1974, both of the eyewitnesses took back their testimony. Basically said that they lied to the police about who they saw and things like that. So so the case went all the way up to New Jersey Supreme Court, Rule 7-0, to overturn Carter's and Artis' conviction. The 2 men were released on bail but remained free for only 6 months. They were convicted once more at a second trial in the fall of 1976. So like, I mean, Rubin Carter and his friend, they just couldn't take a break. The guys that said that, hey, these are the two guys that killed those other people, but they came out and said, hey, no, we was lying. Supreme Court ruled them free, but again, they just got arrested again for a second trial. Let's see what this was for. So others who have refused a 1970 officer by releasing him fingerprint Carter as the gunman was a model prisoner who was released on parole in 1981. Although lawyers for Carter continued to struggle, the New Jersey State Supreme Court rejected their appeal for a third trial in the fall of 1982, arming convictions by 4-3 decision. So basically, all that's basically gonna let y'all know is Rubin Carter, he got out of jail, then pretty much got put back in jail for the same crime, pretty much, just for a whole different situation, for the most part. And like I said, this guy couldn't take a break. This would probably be his fourth time in front of a judge, in front of some type of court for doing some type of crime or having some type of problem. So Rubin Carter was a person that, again, that was in and out of jail, like literally in and out of jail. So with him being in and out of jail and everything that goes on, how would that affect his boxing career? How did fans would take him? How the positive and the negatives from it? What would happen if you put all of that African American killing 3 Caucasian people that turned out to be false? Use all that and put that in today's society with social media, the internet, cell phones, and everything like that. It would make a big difference. It make a big difference. I feel like at first it would, if that story, put that story in today's world, and if that story would like first break, I say you'd have a lot of people, the boxing community, the boxing association probably would have banned him already, saying that he can't fight at all. Like again, if he had any fans, his fans would have probably been highly disappointed in him. Probably wouldn't even be their favorite boxer anymore. Put him in today's world. If he had any sponsorships, his sponsorships would have been over. We wouldn't have had any more sponsorships. In that case, but it hasn't beginning the trial. But once I feel as though once this trial would have went on and on and on, and people would have figured out like, hey, these guys are lying, I feel like this trial would have brought more attention in today's world with today's social media than it even did then. Back then in the day, this got a lot of traction. Of course, a movie came out about it and everything. But put that in today's world where African Americans and everyone, they're like really trying to find justice for people that's getting killed unjustly, people that's getting locked up for no reason in today's world. It could have been a real game changer, more of a game changer than it was back then. In today's world, when today's world, and when you look at like everything that he done in the past and whatnot, and it getting brought back up. That's something that would have happened. That's something that probably happened back then, and that's something that probably happened now. When you are in front of a judge, they try to paint your picture, they try to build up your character. As we know, this would have been his 4th time getting locked up. So, I mean, his character was already shot before he even entered the court building. So he would have never had too much, he would have never been winning on that side. But like I said, he would have probably lost everything if you put him in today's world. Probably gained it back, gained a lot of traction, gained a lot of attention as the case and as the case and everything went on in the court and everything, would have probably gained a lot of traction. But from the start of it, definitely would have lost a lot. The media, and I'm gonna go right back to what I said earlier, the media during his playing days or boxing days, again, was slim to none. We're talking back in the day. Social media and everything wasn't thought of. Like I said, we're during a very peak of racist time. So everything for social media was just, media was, like I said, just word of mouth. Word of mouth, maybe a little newspaper, but word of mouth. And they would have been biased. I mean, I feel like the media is biased now, but they definitely would have been biased then. We're talking about an African American killing 3 white guys. I mean, they're gonna cover up a lot. They're gonna hide a lot. They're gonna only, like, again, they just took some eyewitnesses and just that he had no connection, no evidence, said nothing, and placed him in jail for it. Put that in today's world, you'll probably get a little bit more, hey, how did this person relate? Like, what is the evidence with technology that we have nowadays? How was he around? Like, I'm a criminal justice major. They probably would have looked at the footprints, bullet carving, bullet shells, little more technology to actually see if Rubin Carter was the killer of these 3 individuals. The climate during this time of the boxing world, like I said, no one probably would have messed with him. No one probably would have liked him. He probably would have got shamed, like I said, banned from boxing and everything like that. And there would have been no covering up. I mean, this would have been hard. This would have been a hard, and even like how it is back then, this would have been hard to cover up for anybody. I mean, you talk about 3 people that's dead. That's hard covering that up. Like I said, if you put this case and this person in today's world, because back then you're talking about a world where we're still where it's just really racist. I mean, he didn't have a shot. He was already in and out of prison, which they probably brought that up in the case and everything. But if you put that in today's social media world, again, I feel as though he would have lost everything, lost his fans. But at the end of the day, I feel like would have gained a lot too, more than what he would have gained back then. Like I said, the person that he was out of the boxing ring. I'm sorry, person he was out of the boxing ring. Definitely played an effect, but that would always, I mean, when you talk about court cases, they always want to go know about who is this person that we're convicting, who's the person that we're talking about. And the person that they was talking about in Rubin Carter, you're talking about a guy that basically already been in and out of jail, so which is on record. So I mean, that didn't help him at all as well. But yeah, that's just pretty much to conclude the video. I just really want to talk about Rubin Carter. Really wanted to put his situation in today's world, in today's climate. Like I said, the boxing league organization, the fans, probably everyone would have not liked what they heard from the beginning, but I feel as though as time went on, definitely in today's world with today's technology, where African Americans do have a better chance, at least a better chance than back then. It's probably not that big of a difference, but at least a better chance than back then. That things for him would have went a little bit more better than what they did then. This story would have probably blew up in today's world. Maybe he would have lost everything at first, but he probably would have gained a lot more years down the line, just like how he did in that time or in that era. But that's pretty much all I had to say. Antoine Carter, and I'm out.